Welcome to This Week in West Hempstead, sponsored this week by Stern & Spiegel LLP, 5168-731-683. Let us solve your problems. And by Tiffany Dry Cleaners, environmentally safe. Pickup and delivery in West Hempstead and surrounding areas, 718-309-5222. Here are your hosts, David and Norm. Take it away, gentlemen.
All right, thank you, Dan. And Norm, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Dan, it's great to see you. Adam, we got the whole crew in today. And
it's Echo Hat Day.
Echo Hat Day at Yankee Stadium. And, I think we're really going to focus today's show for the most part on Woodfield. There were two press conferences there this week and a lot of activity. Anything moving forward, Norm?
I don't know. There's a lot of talk. We had John Giuffre and Bill Gaylor, the legislators from Nassau County for our district, and John is no longer there, but he was there to tell us about the traffic light that was going up. He was on Woodfield Road at Lindenberg, and they discussed the fact that they're pouring the concrete, and they expect within 3 or 4 weeks to be hanging a light. But the real issue there is that they realize that there's going to be a lot of controversy about this because it does solve a problem locally, but it doesn't do anything between Chestnut and Eagle, and that is a speedway. And we've let them know that that's been an issue, and it's seemingly nothing is being done on the county level about that. This is something Muscarella is aware of, and I think our town supervisor knows about it, but still, nothing has happened. When the Public Works people were talking about it at the Civic Association meeting, they discussed the fact that the town can put stop signs in if they wanted, and it would be approved by the county. But so far, all they're going to do is another study.
All right, well, you know what, let's break it down because there were two press conferences. The first conference you just spoke about, the second conference was held by Jake Shiner, and it was held on Woodfield and Maple, and it was pretty interesting because you had one conference that took place on Monday, and then you had the second one that took place on Tuesday. So there was a little bit of politics mixed in all of this. At the end of the day, the traffic light, I don't know. I don't think people, quite honestly, really give a crap one way or the other. The community is upset. There is really no comprehensive solution going on, a little bit of patchwork here and there, and a bunch of politicians who are grandstanding.
You know, there's no such thing as bad publicity for a cause like this, and the more politicians come, the better, more can be done. One of the residents had a great idea. You know, they call it the West Hempstead Drag Strip, that section of Woodfield, because of all the high-paced, fast-paced shenanigans that goes on there. But one resident had a great idea that shouldn't involve any kind of approval from the town, just making up signs and hanging them up that tell people, just be careful, drive carefully, drive safe, and when you see pedestrians, please stop. So,
yeah, you know what? That was actually a longtime resident, Larry Doyle, who had a Brooklyn Dodger T-shirt on. He couldn't be mistaken, and he probably had the most simplest and direct message. I was there at the Shiner press conference, and I think Larry, kind of really stole the show. But along with Harry, you had Robert Harris and Roberta Post, who are two other longtime community residents who both spoke very passionately about it. But there was also a conversation that took place from another resident who lived on the block. It actually happens to be a resident that I know, but I'm just going to leave it at that for now. And that resident was really not happy for one particular reason. The Maple Street, this new Maple Street study, at best would put another light, of which this person felt it would just be another timing issue for people to just keep running. We got one light, you got two lights, you keep going. Maybe if you hit it at 45, 55, 70, you're fine. What this person was advocating was, full four-way stop signs. Norm mentioned it before, and there has to be numerous. They have to stop the trajectory of the road and really put an end to speeders on Woodfield. I had asked the legislators at the press conference about speed bumps and speed cameras. They didn't want to respond to that. One of the comments was, well, it causes front-end damage. But what I don't understand is, You go to Queens, which is right next door. You got speed bumps all over the place. You got cameras all over
Brooklyn
the place.
There's cameras all over the place
And
too. You drive 30 miles an hour, you can get a ticket for
you
$50.
know, automatically, as soon as you go to the boroughs, you have to drive differently. Why is it okay there and not okay here?
Because it was a political backlash.
I'll speak to the speed bumps. A lot of the volunteer firemen use Woodfield Road for emergency access back to the fire departments. So it becomes an issue for them if it's a speed bump. They're going to have to stop at every bump. But the four-way stop signs, that makes no sense to not do them. They're easy, they're cheap, they take no time to install, and it can't hurt. It can't possibly have a negative impact. So why not do it?
Yeah, but in general, putting Woodfield aside, you have fire trucks in Queens, you have fire trucks in Brooklyn. So how do they manage the speed bumps there? You're telling me you can't manage the speed
There may be
bumps here?
alternative streets that they can use.
I will
that
say, somewhat in their defense, they don't generally put them on the major thoroughfares.
No, that's not true.
Tell me where you've seen it, because I haven't seen it.
I've seen it on major roads within Queens that typically in the old days, were like major thoroughfares. That's what I was really surprised about. They are all over the place, especially in the northern Queens section. And again, they're not legal. The real answer is they're not legal in Nassau County. We used to have cameras. We used to have speed cameras, but those got shut down, even the ones that were by the schools. So again, it's kind of like it's politics as usual.
Well, the big question is that the county has said this is all we're willing to do. That's what the Department of Public Works Commissioner says, and he's given us all he plans to give us as a favor because he says we don't qualify for it. And so now it's left to the town. What is the town doing?
Well, you know what? Here's the bottom line.
Well, hang on. Let's talk politics here for a second. I mean, we all know what both of these press conferences were about. These press conferences were about
the
people
county election, the Nassau County
taking
election.
credit for it. Jake Shiner, we didn't happen to mention, we mentioned last week, is running for the legislature next year. This year already? All right, I have no idea. There was a certain amount of I'll call it crowing. I think it's fair to call it crowing about how the Monday press conference happened because he called the Tuesday press conference. At the Monday press conference, CBS and News 12 were both there.
Correct.
God bless Mr. Shiner. I wish him all the luck in the world. We were the press that was at that conference.
Correct.
All of this is grandstanding. It's all, and I'm glad for the traffic light. I'm glad for the one going on in Lindbergh. If one goes on Maple, that's fine. I'll take it. But everything that went on Monday and Tuesday was about people sort of polishing their own shoulders here.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
And what's wrong with grandstanding? We need more grandstanding.
Exactly.
Everyone needs to step up. Rabbi Sonica from the synagogue was there to show his support for the light. I think all the politicians, all the religious leaders, all the educators, they need to come out and step up.
Yeah, but by the way, we didn't see anybody from the town of Hempstead.
Town of Hempstead politics.
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
The state
nobody.
assembly, the state senate.
That's where my head
It's
is
about
at.
saving lives. It's not about politics.
It's about saving lives, and I think all these other
Quality
little
of life.
pieces are just really, quite frankly, a waste of time. There have to be comprehensive laws. The southern state is a disaster with cars racing literally 24 hours a day. Whether it's Woodfield, Nassau Boulevard, Hempstead Turnpike, Hempstead Avenue. I mean, every road is a disaster. Even on Dogwood, we're seeing
Traffic studies or something.
studies that are going on. And this takes me back to this person who I spoke to on Maple. It's just like it's not safe for the kids. The kids can't cross the roads, whether it's Woodfield or whether it's any of these other major thoroughfares. Maybe New York City, for once, has it right about traffic control, and I realize that'll piss off a lot of people who really want to get around, rather quickly.
It's annoying driving 25, but they have saved a lot of lives since that went into
I don't know,
Yeah.
but it seems like things are just so out of hand. It's all of Nassau, it's Suffolk County. Literally every day in the paper, you're hearing about multiple fatalities, and it's out of control.
Well, you
something's
listen
gotta
to
be
Bob
done.
Harris. This poor guy's lived in this neighborhood for 4 decades or more, and he's been advocating for help over and over again to the point where the best he could do in 4 decades was to hang a sign.
Yeah.
Oh, God, please.
So I think ultimately, Blakeman, Clavin, those are perhaps people that can at least represent us and get the ball rolling. I'm not exactly sure.
If anybody can find him, because we haven't been able to.
Yeah, and
They have the power to make a correction here, so we're asking.
we're just not getting anywhere. I mean, look, we can't even fill a pool with water. How are we going to do anything else? I mean, this community
raises an interesting issue. Why can't we get these aspiring politicians like Mr. Shiner to also take up this issue of the pool? Not as a matter of life or death, obviously not as severe, but why not call awareness to what's going on? The travesty that is our Echo Park pool. Maybe hold a couple of dueling press conferences outside the shuttered pool with the 2 empty holes in the ground.
Yeah, and you know what? It may not be life and death, but for a lot of people who use the pool for rehabilitation and for senior citizens and for social.
And the kids to make money as lifeguards.
This is a really big deal in our community. And you know what? The summer's gone. There's going to certainly be no outdoor pool. Who knows what's going to go on with the indoor pool and any of the facilities.
Who knows? Who knows is the key word.
Yeah, the shadow knows. I have no idea. And speaking of the shadow knows, Norm, anything going on in entertainment?
Same thing that's going on in Malvern has happened last week. It's the same movies: Jules, Sound of Freedom, Miracle Club, Oppenheimer, and Barbie. And of course, there's Mike Del Judas, your favorite guy.
He is.
Fireworks show on Labor Day at Point Lookout.
Yeah,
Have a great
enjoy. Thank you, Norm. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Adam. Will join us next week on This Week in West Hempstead.
Drive safely.
Thanks for watching, everybody. If you would like to sponsor our rants or programs, please reach out to us at sales@westhempsteadecho.com.